Kicking it with KeKe. Kicking it with KeKe. Kicking it with KeKe. Full of personality. Switching up the storyline on God, we making history.
Writing books, changing lives, one day at a time. Put your problems to the side. Enjoy yourself. Free your mind.
Kicking it with KeKe.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, Life, Love, and all that other shit. I am your host, KeKe Chanel. Listen, when I'm not writing books that empower and inspire people, I'm talking to guests on this podcast, and it's all about personal development. Today we have a special guest, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about healing. I like to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and you just tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay. First and foremost, thank you for having me on your
Absolutely.
show. My name is Jaquasia Vandross. I am a mental health clinician in the NYC area, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Black Girls Can Heal Inc., which is a healing practice, a healing collective, if you must, for Black women and women of color to build community, to heal through transparency, vulnerability, and that's pretty much it about me.
I love it. I love the energy already. I know this is going to be a great episode. You guys grab whatever you drank and sit back so you can get these gems that she is about to, drop. Okay, so I don't want to get your name wrong. So I'm just trying to make sure that I say it properly. Jaquasia?
It's Jaquasia.
Jaquasia. Okay, Jaquasia. Got it. Because I was trying to sound, I was like, I didn't even ask her how to say it. When you said it, you talked so fast. I was like, oh, I missed it. Jaquasia. Okay. So the overall theme for Kicking It with KeKe is about personal development. I believe that when we operate as our higher self and have our best mind forward, we create that life of abundance and growth and positivity that we are supposed to have. When it comes to personal development, what does that mean for you?
I think personal development is like healing. It's a lifelong thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are always new skills, new techniques, new methods that we can learn. I don't think learning is a singular event. I don't think it's a one-stop shop. I always think there's something to learn.
Every day.
Every day. So that's what personal development looks like to me. Honing in on your specific talents, your specific gift,
Mm-hmm.
your purpose, your mission, and just executing that is no limit to what you can learn.
Absolutely. Do you believe that personal development can be negative as well as positive?
I'm not sure. I always looked at it like it being positive, but I'm sure there's always two sides to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there is some negativity in personal development, depending on what it is that you are trying to excel at, so to speak. So there might be some negativity to it.
Yeah, I like to ask that question because I get so many different answers, and it always it's amazing to hear everything, and it gives me a different perspective from every guest that I have. And I was like, you know what? One guest said, yeah, of course it could be negative because you could be feeding yourself negativity, thinking that you're doing something to develop yourself, but it's totally opposite of something that you should be doing. So yeah, absolutely. I believe that it can be negative and positive. It's all about how you look at it and the mindset that you have moving forward. If you want better, you do better. If you don't, you stay the same. But it starts inwardly. I'm a firm believer that if you change your mindset, you change your life. So tell us more about Black Girls Can Heal Inc. I know I saw you speak on a live a couple of months ago. I don't even know. I don't think it's been that long. And I was like, oh my God, I have to reach out to her. But before I can reach out to you, you reached out to me. So I'm like, okay, God, it was alignment. It was meant for us to collaborate. But tell listeners about Black Girls Can Heal Inc. I love the name.
Thank you. So Black Girls Can Heal Inc. is basically like my child. It is something that I knew that I needed when I was a young adult because I experienced abandonment. I experienced neglect. I was actually adopted. So I struggled with identity. I struggled with anxiety. So these were all of the things that I needed assistance with. I needed a community. I needed to know that I wasn't alone, and I didn't get that.
Wow.
So I grew up and created exactly what it is that I needed, and this is for women who feel like they may be alone. They may be the only one struggling with a particular trauma. This is for them. This is me building a community for them so they don't feel so alone. So they have women that they can lean in on, so they can have that support buddy, someone that'll tell them like, hey, you got to get up. Hey,
Absolutely.
this is what you need to do, because we can't sit in our sadness.
No, we cannot.
We have to get out of that,
Absolutely.
It happened to us and it's tragic, but we have to keep going, So this is the space that I created for them to get those tools, for them to get those resources, for them to have that community, for them to have space where it's just for them. It's not for everyone else, it's just for them. And so they know that it's the services is being targeted to them. It's going to be relatable, it's going to be accessible. So that's what it's all about.
I love that. I love that you're creating a space. And for the last couple of months, we have talked about creating safe spaces, especially for our culture and our community, because therapy is oh, no, you don't say that word in the Black community. Like, whatever happens in this house stays in this house. We don't talk about it. Go over there, cry in the corner. We don't want to see it, and let's just keep it moving. And so it has created this vicious cycle and stigma of therapy, counseling, life coaching, whatever, that is looked at as, no, we don't do that. And now I think that the pandemic was a bad thing, but I think it also made people take a look at themselves and say, you know what, I'm not okay. I just didn't realize it because I was going. Now that I'm able to sit still for a minute, I need to figure out why I feel this way, or why I don't have the love that I should have for this parent, that parent, my sibling, whatever. Why I don't like going by this relative's house. And because you subconsciously hold on to things that we just really don't understand, that can be detrimental to our mental health and our growth and our healing, for that matter. So thank you for creating a safe space. We need more of that. And I don't think that it's just for men. I mean, for women and kids. I think men need safe spaces too. I've been on some broadcasts where men say that they don't open up to their women because they don't feel like they're safe by being vulnerable, because they're looked at as being weak and stuff like that. So creating safe spaces, how important do you think that it is in order to heal, to create those safe spaces?
I think we weren't created to be alone. We weren't created to go through things alone. And while healing is our own personal journey, I think community lightens the load. Because like I said earlier, going through something and not having anyone to talk to, not having anyone that's going to empower you, support you, not having someone that you can lean on, that makes it harder.
Right.
It makes it so much harder, and it makes you want to give up. When you're not healed, or you haven't addressed, these traumas, you living your best life. You hanging out with a whole, you got a whole lot of friends,
right?
You the party, everybody loves you, so it's so easy to just backslide back into that life because you knew what to expect in that life.
Right.
When you start healing and creating this new life, it's different. It's lonely, it's isolating. So having a community where you don't feel so alone, where you don't feel so isolated, makes a world of difference.
Right. And
that
so
provide you with a lot of resources as well, resources that the community does not have.
Absolutely. And it makes it easier to be vulnerable. Because the healing process, like you said, it's hard. It gets deep. It's scary too. And to have that space and people who can help guide you through it, because 9 times out of 10 is someone who can identify with what you've gone through or what you're about to encounter. I think that it's essential, and I'm glad that you're creating spaces like this. And so I want to talk a little bit more about healing. To the listener who may feel like I'm alone, what advice can you give to them when it comes to opening up and making themselves vulnerable? Because I learned through my healing process that if people don't know that you need help, you cannot get mad at them when they don't help you.
That's
Yeah.
basically exactly what I would have said. Like, we are not mind readers, so we don't know when people need our help. We don't know when they need a shoulder to cry on. We don't know when they just want to have a vent session and not get advice in return. You know, we don't know that. So they have to be able to voice that. And I understand that, you know, talking about your trauma can be traumatizing, especially if you're talking to the wrong people,
Right.
or the judgmental people, or people who have a specific bias against you, or about trauma and healing in general. So my first piece of advice was just to start journaling. It doesn't have to be anything in depth. It doesn't have to be APA style. It doesn't have to be, you know, nobody's gonna read this. It's for you.
Right.
I would start journaling. It could start with bullet points, you know, what you think you might want to say to this person, how you think you might want to go about saying it to this person. And you journal until you feel comfortable with your story, because that's what it's all about. You feeling comfortable with your story, comfortable enough to share your story with others.
Right.
And in turn, help them heal through storytelling. So that's where I would start.
I love that, healing through storytelling, because I'm an author as well as a life coach, and I love the journaling process. A lot of people don't like to journal though. What advice would you tell the people who don't like to journal?
A lot of people don't like to journal, and that's why I said it can just be like a to-do list. Don't think about it as journaling. Think about it as a to-do list. Think about it as just bullet point. You can even do poetry, rap, you know, creating songs, anything that's gonna get you to reclaim your story, get power back in your life, anything. That's what I would suggest. It doesn't have to be, you don't consider it journaling. You know, you don't have a label to it. You don't have to, you know.
I was just about to say that. A lot of people put labels to stuff knowing that it can hinder your process when you label everything. Everything does not require a label. So I love that you, and I like to take notes and stuff. So I love that you said journal and doing the bullet points. I've never thought to say that to someone. Just write down the bullet point. To-do list, poetry, you know, creating lyrics. That is a form of release. And the point is to release it. When healing, you have to know how to release it. Otherwise, it's going to eat you up inside. And I was one of those people that I was holding on to everybody else's grief. And so I was keeping myself from even starting the healing process. Because in 2020, we lost our 19-year-old daughter to a fatal car accident. And thank you so much. And it was almost like it's surreal still, but it was almost like an out-of-body experience watching the people interact with us. And it was almost like, okay, we are the ones who are going through this, but we have to be on edge or on eggshells, because we don't want other people to feel like we're burdening, you know, being a burden to them. And it shouldn't have been like that. We should have never felt like that. And it wasn't until someone close to me said, don't let people make you feel guilty for grieving the death of your child.
Right.
Don't let people rush you through the grieving process.
Right.
And so when it comes to healing, you know, talk about the importance of not rushing the process.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, I definitely agree with what that person told you. That was excellent advice. Whoever's listening, take that advice, because it's excellent advice. And it's the same for healing. You can't rush through the healing. You can't rush. I was just speaking about this on my page as well. Just taking a moment to be in the moment. A lot of us talk ourselves out of things, especially as we're healing, and that has a lot to do with our trauma. We talk ourselves out of happiness. We talk ourselves out of peace. We talk ourselves out of love. You know, and what we compensate by telling ourselves, oh, when I heal, I can be happy. Or when I heal, I can find love. Or when I heal, I can do X, Y, and Z. You know, the journey is lifelong. So if you wait to experience these things, you're gonna be waiting forever.
Right.
You'll get to that point and you'll be unfulfilled because you didn't take those breaks, those necessary breaks, to admire or even acknowledge how far you've come in the journey. So you want to take the journey on like life.
Right.
Because it's a part of your life. Healing is a part of your life.
Right.
So take it on as life. You can't rush through life. You can't. You got to take each day as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And so goes the same for healing, just taking each day as it comes.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. And so let's get into a little bit about mindset. And we talked about it a little bit, like the mindset of healing. You have to adapt that in order for the process to begin.
Mhm.
It is so essential to even get into that point. And you know, it may be someone who's listening that feels like, okay, this is me. I don't know where to start. And I know we talked about journaling and things like that, but for me, it started with acknowledging that I'm allowed to be unhappy in that moment because of the trauma that I'm dealing with.
Right.
So, what would you tell that person who knows that they need to start the healing process, but are afraid to even know or don't even know where to start?
It does start with acknowledgement, because you have to admit that there is something wrong, that something isn't right. And that's exactly what I tell my clients all the time. You can't come into a therapist's office and just expect for us to help you. You have to let us know what it is that we are helping you with.
Right.
If you can't acknowledge that a certain event happened that traumatized you, or that you're experiencing these type of feelings, this emotion, then we can't help you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my advice for healing. You have to first acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge that something is not right. Acknowledge that you're feeling this type of way due to this event.
Right.
And then work on addressing that particular event that may have traumatized you. But it all starts with acknowledgement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And let's speak to these women, and I've been guilty of it myself, by having this strong woman syndrome.
Oh gosh.
Let's talk about it, because I realized that I was taking on other people's crap and they weren't even asking me to. And I was just taking it on. And so when I felt like, okay, I'm so weak, I need someone to refill my cup because I'm empty. And looking crazy because they don't know that I'm empty, but they don't know because I'm there for everybody. I'm being strong and all this kind of stuff. Let's just talk about the myth of the strong woman syndrome.
Yeah, that's intergenerational. That's from our ancestors. Black women taking on everything. Like we see our parents, our mothers who were single moms, and they did it so we could do it. They didn't complain about it. So, you know,
We
do we
shouldn't.
really have a right to complain about
Right.
it? You know, and society as well. It's societal. Society really doesn't allow us to be vulnerable.
Right.
We're going through something. It's you're strong. You'll get through it. It's never, do you need help? Is there anything that I can do for you? Do you need to take a moment? You know, so it's all these pressures coming from family, coming from society, coming from people in general that look at us as Black women and they're like, you're Black, you're strong, you know, you got it. You don't really need our help. You'll figure it out, you know? So it's going to take a while to break out of that because we don't have the spaces that we need to be vulnerable, and we're not allowed to be vulnerable. How many times have we been in a work situation and we wanted to express ourselves and we got told to calm down because we were voicing our opinions?
The angry Black woman.
Exactly. So we're not given the spaces to even be vulnerable. So until that happens, it's
not gonna end. That's I agree. But it's frustrating though. It's frustrating to to know that you have created spaces, and I know I try to create spaces for other people to be vulnerable. And I always want people to feel like, okay, she's someone that I can talk to. And I get that a lot. And my clients as well have told me that I've helped them through different things. But to that one stubborn person who knows that they are just killing themselves, stressing out, worrying, what single thing would you say to that person? I know what I would say, but what single thing would you say to her right now in this moment?
To be honest, I would ask if it's worth it. Like, is it worth it?
Wow.
There are some things that we just cannot control. And I think in the moment we think that we can, but there are just some things that we cannot control. We cannot control how other people act.
Mhm.
We cannot control certain situations. We barely have control over our own lives. So picture us trying to control other people's lives, their actions, their behaviors, their thoughts, their opinions. It's not worth it. If you knew what it does, if you knew what it did to you physically, mentally, emotionally, even spiritually,
Right.
you wouldn't be trying to play savior. So
I,
that's what I would ask. Is it worth it?
and see, you ask if it is it worth it. I always say, when you dead and gone, is that gonna solve anything? Because they're gonna do this, they're gonna be here doing the same thing to somebody else.
Mhm.
But you
Yep.
dead and gone when you could have avoided this. And
Mhm.
and I get frustrated because they know that they are doing it and they would tell you that they're doing it. But yet and still there's always a but.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I could go on and on about that, but I'm not gonna say too much because she might be listening and she'll know that it's her. Yes. So when it comes to Black Girls Can Heal Inc., how can people support the organization? How can we connect with you to volunteer and things like that? And I know you're in the East Coast and I'm in the South. How can we support?
I would say, like, visiting the website, we have a lot of opportunities for virtual support. We have a lot of opportunities for in-person support. Sharing our posts, sharing our page on Instagram. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest as well. So just getting that information out there, because the overall goal is to just help women as they, heal.
Mhm.
And like I mentioned before, a lot of women don't have the resources that they need to even begin the journey.
Right.
A lot of people can't afford therapy.
Right.
Therapy is very much expensive. Even group therapy is expensive.
Mhm.
So just getting that information out there so they know what to look for. They know what books to read. They know who to follow on Instagram, because that is important as well.
Right.
There's a lot of people on Instagram who aren't genuine.
Mhm.
So
And you
that,
have to know what to feed yourself too. You have to know how to decompress and say, hey, this is not serving me any way that's positive. Let me unfollow this person so that my timeline can be something that motivates me in a positive way, because what you absorb, it hinders or helps the
right,
process of healing.
right.
Yes. And I tell people all the time, you have control over your social media. If you don't want to see a certain thing,
Yeah.
you don't have to see a certain thing.
Yeah.
If you don't want to post and be that person that people don't want to look at, change the narrative on that by changing yourself.
Yeah. I say that all the time too. Like, I get because I work with adults and in my business, but in my job, my profession, I work with adolescents and children.
Mhm.
And when it comes down to both, it's social media is like the middle piece, the common ground for all ages. And you get a lot of people who say, like, I get on social media and I get so upset. So I'm like, you have to detox your social media. If you get on social media and you feel like you're comparing yourself to someone online, then there's something wrong there. And the
Right.
first thing you need to do is unfollow that person, because clearly they're triggering you and
Mhm.
bringing up these emotions.
Right.
Unfollow. They're not gonna know that you unfollowed them.
And
It's
so who cares if they do?
right. It's not gonna hurt them, harm them in any way. Like, if you unfollow them, they're gonna drop dead. No, you're doing this for your mental health. You're doing this for your emotional health. So that's important. Detox your social media as
Yes.
frequently as you can.
I love that. Detox your social media. You guys, listen, she has dropped some gems here, and I hope you're paying attention. Sometimes you have to take a step back and look inwardly, because healing is a process, but sometimes we slow our own healing because we hold on to stuff that we shouldn't be holding on to. You need to let go. It's okay to let certain things to go. It's not going to break the bank, and it's not going to, it's only going to help you get better. Put it
Right.
like this. So you guys have been listening to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe, life, love, and all that other shit. We are talking about healing today. We are talking about healing. So when it comes to how to connect, and I know you've said it a couple of times that you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Pinterest and all that. Give us the name so we can follow and connect with you.
So across the board, where Black Girls Can Heal. So you'll be able to find us on all social media platforms. with that title. Our website is also blackgirlscanheal.org. You get more information on our website. You'll get information about our support groups, which are free. And we're also working on a wellness retreat. So you'll be the first to know about that wellness retreat as well. So check out the website.
Oh, I love that. I cannot wait to find out about that because I'm gonna try my best to be a part of that. Because
Yes.
it's nothing like doing a detox, mind, body, and spirit with people that pour into you, that you can be vulnerable with. They ain't looking at you like you weak. You ain't have to worry about them going to tell this person and KeKe and all this kind of stuff. That
Right.
makes a big difference when it comes to healing, especially for our community, because it's so much malice and gossip and backbiting amongst especially women. And I'm so glad that God has opened doors for me to have some amazing women in my life that I don't have to worry about that. Some people don't have that. And so I'm glad that the spaces are being created for those individuals who feel like they're alone. And I just want to say that you're not alone. You just haven't found your tribe yet.
Right.
But they're there. And now that you know Black Girls Can Heal Inc. is out there, go to the website and connect so that you can find that safe space that you need so you can heal and grow and evolve into the person that God has placed you here to be. It's okay to let people go without letting them go. And I say this to say, y'all may not be on the same page anymore. The things that used to make you feel good, they have no meaning now because you're growing. You require that change. That doesn't mean that you have any animosity or whatever against the people that used to be in your life. Everybody has a season, right?
Yep.
And when it comes to healing, you will have plenty you will have plenty seasons. You might think you go into those steps, the grief steps, and then you start back at one.
Exactly.
It's okay to do that.
Exactly.
And tell, like, I want you to speak about, because I know you're in the mental health profession, in the therapy, realm, about knowing that it's okay to start over, giving yourself grace. We don't talk about that enough. Self-compassion, that plays a big part when it comes to healing.
It does. And it does with your mental health also, as you mentioned. Just a lot. I always tell people this. I know it sounds like a cliche, and I know people have said it so much that it sounds like a cliche, but you have to give yourself the same grace that you would give a stranger, that you would give a friend, that you would give a family member, because you are deserving of that grace.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't give yourself that grace on this journey, it's going to be harder than what it needs to be.
Right.
You have to understand. And that's why I put so much emphasis on healing is a uphill, a downhill, a uphill, a downhill battle. So you have to understand that it's going to come with mixed emotions. It's going to come with letting go. It's going to come with receiving. It's going to come with creating new spaces for yourself.
Right.
And for people who are, who are fighting with themselves about letting go of friends or letting go of partners, understand that you can't force anybody to join the healing journey because you have decided to join the healing journey.
Oh.
That is actually selfish. We all heal at different times. There may come a time where you reconnect with this person because now they too are on a healing journey and their journey has brought them back to you. But you can't force anyone to heal. You have to leave them where they are and go on your journey.
Right. And know that your journey is your journey.
Exactly.
And trying to force someone to heal is only going to create a rift between you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Listen, I have enjoyed this conversation, and I could talk about healing all day long. I wasn't always there, but I thank God that I have people in my life that has helped me along the way, and I am helping other people along the way. So I am appreciative of that, and I thank you for coming to talk to us about healing today. I like to ask this question for all of my guests when they come. On a personal note, what would your now self tell your younger self about healing?
If I had to tell my now self, my younger self something, it would just be to be patient. because as a child, I like immediacy. I like immediate results. And if something wasn't providing me with immediate gratification, then I was on to the next thing. I didn't give myself room to experience certain things. So that's what I would tell myself. Just be patient.
I love that. I mean, patience I've always been a patient person, except for when it comes to people playing me. I don't like inconsistency.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. So what is next for you? What is next for the organization? What is next? And I know you said that y'all are getting ready to start doing wellness retreats. So aside from that, what's next for Black Girls Can Heal Inc.?
So yeah, besides the wellness retreats, we're trying to do more in-person events. I'm trying to plan events in specific states. So that way the women who support us in, Texas, the women who support us in Maryland, Washington, we can actually be with them in the physical, because we have support groups in those designated areas, but they're virtual.
Oh, wow.
So I want to make the effort to actually go to these states and have these in-person events with them.
Oh, I love that. Make sure y'all come to Louisiana, because that's where I'm at. Yes, I'm like 40 minutes from New Orleans, and yeah, I would definitely love to work with you guys if we could do that. So just let me know if you need any help. I'm there for that, because like you said, we have to know that healing is a process, and we have to break that stigma of therapy is wrong or bad, or we don't talk about certain things, we hold on to it. That is gonna kill more of us, because that stress, holding on to things that just cause so much unnecessary chaos within. And why hold on to something when you just let it go?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, so before we get out of here, is there anything you would like to tell listeners today before we get off about healing?
Besides everything that I've said prior, I would just say, know that you are deserving of healing. Know that you are deserving of love. Know that you are deserving of genuine and authentic connection. And that's something that you have control over. You have control over starting this journey.
Right.
And there's no better time than now, right?
Right. Absolutely. You guys have heard it here, and you've been listening to another episode of Kicking It with KeKe. I am back every Thursday. Y'all make sure that y'all tune in on all major platforms as well as YouTube. If you're just listening, I advise you to go over to YouTube so you can watch, and that way you can see the person behind the voice. She is phenomenal. Thank you again for coming to Kick It with me, and I appreciate you. I will be in touch, because I would love to create more spaces within this space to do panel discussions on these particular topics. So I would love to have you to come in as an expert in your field to talk to some women. And then we just do it as a podcast episode. If that's something that you're interested in, I'll send you some information, because I'm trying to think of so many ways to create more spaces so that this becomes normal. Healing should be normal. Holding on to stuff and living life in any way other than positive, it's not normal. And we've made it normalized so much that no one sees different. So it's up to us who see it different to create those spaces to bring other people in. And that's the only way that we're going to break the cycle. So I would definitely be in touch with you on that. Yes. But until next time, you guys know that the bumps along the way is just enough to slow us down so that we can enjoy the journey. You guys be blessed, be beautiful, be you. Till next time. Bye.